In this video, I'm going to walk you through both sizes of the Dendrite Sling from Vanquest. So I've had these for a few months. I've been using them around town, on camping trips. They've been on the road with me as travel slings. Let's dive in, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of the Dendrite Slings from Vanquest. So let's start with materials and specs. Materials are the same for both of these. Specs are going to be a little bit different because obviously we have a small version and a large version. So from a material standpoint, the exterior of both of these slings is Vanquest proprietary 400D urban blend nylon poly fabric. So this is a multi-PU PC coating fabric. Build is very durable and water resistant. The material itself has just an excellent feel to it. It feels a little bit crinkly. It doesn't necessarily feel rubbery like you would expect for a PU coated material. Overall, I'm very impressed with the urban blend material. I think it's a perfect blend of lightweight and durability combined in a fabric. So far I've had no issues with any of the urban blend material on any of the slings I've tested from Vanquest, and I'm a really big fan of the material. On the inside of these slings, and we'll see that a little bit closer when we open them up, but you have a 210D ripstop nylon that also has a DWR coating to it, so that is a durable water repellent finish. The zippers all the way around this bag are YKK RC class reverse zippers with Spartan zipper pulls. So these have what Vanquest calls their Spartan zipper pulls on them. Really great for using with gloves. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter how big. I mean, even if you have mittens on, you can use these Spartan zipper pulls to open and close the bag, no problem. The reverse part, if you're not familiar with reverse coil zippers, is if you look closely at that zipper on the front, the coil is actually on the inside, and then you see the zipper tape or the sides of the zipper on the outside. That means they've flipped the coils over. When you zip it up, the coils are protected. You don't get gunk in there. Makes for a more durable zippers. They do the same thing on luggage and that type of stuff. So all the hardware on this bag is ITW or Duraflex. So we've got some big Duraflex side locks for the strap, for instance. That's military grade hardware. I mean, ITW and Duraflex are two of the biggest names in hardware for bags and slings and gear of this nature. And then you've got a leather patch on the outside with the Vanquest logo on it. So that is the only branding on the bag, but it is pretty conspicuous. It kind of contrasts with the color of the bag. You got this very dark bag with a very light colored logo on there with leather. I think overall it's a nice accent, but I could see, you know, it would be nice to have maybe a subdued version that wasn't quite as conspicuous. So overall, really good materials throughout and just bulletproof construction. Just to give you an example of some of the bar tacking, this is where the strap meets the little wing on the outside. Take a look at that stitching. Those tacks are bulletproof. I mean, that is not going anywhere. All right, let's move on to specs. And this is where we're gonna see a little bit more difference, obviously, because we've got the small version, and the small, referencing my notes, is 5.5 inches high by 9 inches wide by 3 inches deep. And then the large is 6.5 inches high by 10.75 inches wide, also 3 inches deep. So you got the same depth in both of them, significantly different footprint between the two though, size-wise. The rated capacity of the small is 2.8 liters, and then the large, you get a full extra liter in the large size that is rated at 3.8 liters. Let's move on to the exterior and take a closer look at some of the exterior features. And we'll use the large as our first reference, but it's more or less the same for both of these slings, just the scaling's a little bit different, obviously, because of the size difference. There are 3 zippers for entry into the sling. So you've got this front quick access zipper. You've got a top dual zipper setup, and these are lockable. So these YKK zippers on here, if you can see that, those are lockable zippers. If you wanted to lock this sling, you can put a smaller lock through those zippers and you're not going to be able to open that. Then we've got the hidden rear pocket, which is a great place to put mission critical stuff. And that you can see, just to kind of illustrate the difference, that is a standard. So that is not a reverse zipper, if you can see that. And then comparing that with the top zipper, that is a reverse zipper. So see the difference with that? You can see the coils right here on this one, whereas this one, the tape side is out, or the you know, the sides of the zipper itself, the zipper material. And then on the bottom, we've got some counter pulls built in. We see this on both sides of the small and the large. Always nice to have counter pulls when you're going to zip bags, or if I'm unzipping, you know, I've got something to pull against. You can also use these as little loops if you want to hang things off of there. So nice addition with the counter pulls on there, like having those. On the back side of the sling by the hidden pocket, we've got these two big loops, and we see these on both the large and the small. So these are pretty cool because you can use these as belt loops. If you want to take this strap off, for instance, and put this on your belt, you could wear it that way. I have used the small one. I've taken the strap off and I've used the small one on a sternum strap when I'm rucking, so without the straps, and I'll put this on my sternum, and then I've got my phone in there, I've got my wallet, I'll have some camera gear in there. Very convenient, great size for that, and carries very nicely in that configuration. I haven't tried using it as a belt bag, but you could definitely do that with this configuration. Put it right on your belt and then 86 the strap. Lastly, on the outside, we will talk about the strap itself. So very nice, very durable. I already showed you some of the bar tacking holding this strap on. I mean, we see it all over the place. So we've got two massive bar tacks right here. We've got more bar tacking here. We've got a nice loop of material built in with the strap-like material. If you want to put a flashlight or a pocket knife through that loop, that's a great place to put that and have quick access. Maybe I'm out and about at night. Great place to throw a nice bright flashlight while I'm wearing it, and then I've got quick access to that flashlight right in front of me. The hardware, again, is all ITW or Duraflex on this. We've got some built-in strap management, which is nice. So we've got this Velcro keeper on here where you can roll up any excess strap and keep that nice and tight and not dangling, which I love having strap management on straps, because one thing that definitely bothers me is having dangling straps everywhere. So this strap is removable, but be advised, it is not necessarily easily removable. So, I mean, it's not too difficult, but it's not like a quick snap in, snap off like Vanquest Dendrite Slings, for instance. So these have, you know, some H buckles on there. You have to kind of route the strap material out of those. Removing is not too difficult. You are left with the hardware on there as well as this wing flap, and that is permanently attached, but it does fold nicely under. It stays out of the way for the most part. And what's nice then is when you don't have it off, this has a nice big flap on there, which is really going to prevent that from back feeding through the hardware. Nice addition. We see that on both sides. So you have multiple places to adjust the length of the strap. You can choke up on either the ends with the hardware closest to the sling, and then you've also got another hardware adjuster above the H buckle on there. So this one you can use if you want to adjust on the fly. You know, with the strap management as it is, what I found myself doing is basically finding the length I liked and then leaving it at that length. I didn't adjust this one very much. This one, unlike some of the other slings on the market, doesn't have a quick adjust mechanism, although it is pretty easy to adjust with that. The only problem is you kind of got to wrap it up then every time, and it's easier just to leave it as is. So cool setup, and overall not a bad strap. I like the width of it. Great width, good feel to it. It's seatbelt like material, looks like seatbelt material, feels like seatbelt material. Very comfortable to wear, very slick. Slides easily over rougher outer layers such as sweaters or anything knit. So still maintains the ability, not going to bunch your sweater up when you're sliding it around. On the Converse, not necessarily going to stay in place as well as slings with a rougher strap. Let's open these up and take a look at the inside. We will start with the small. The small definitely lends itself more towards everyday carry, pocket dump style carry sling. You're going to get your phone in here, your wallet in here, and some extras. I mean, don't get me wrong, this has some good capacity to it. Just obviously nothing of very large dimension is going to fit in here. What is nice though too, and I've got this a little bit loaded out, is when you don't have it loaded out, this material and the way they stitched it on the bottom here, it does stay nice and flat. And it doesn't necessarily have any type of built-in compression. I mean, that webbing a little bit right there might kind of pull it back on top of itself, but overall it stays nice and flat and compressed and out of the way because you've got this lightweight but still very durable material on the outside. So for instance, when I was wearing it rucking, I didn't have a whole lot of stuff in there, and you don't want that sticking out a mile. It was nice. It sat nice and flat up against my chest. Starting with this front pocket, if we open this up, we can see the 210D ripstop nylon material in there. I have the key leash that comes shipped on the inside of the bag, but there's a little loop right here to put it on in this area. This is a great spot to put your keys, odds and ends, loose items. I don't actually have anything in there right now, but if I had my keys with me, that's where they would be, clipped to that loop. No organization in there otherwise. Opening up the main compartment, we've got that same nylon ripstop material, high vis, nice and high vis. And we can see this compartment has a little bit of volume to it as well as some built-in organization. You've got quite a bit of space on the bottom of that sling if you want to utilize it. On the other hand though, if you're not using it, and let's kind of zip this back up now that we've taken that out, you can see it's nice and slim, very compact, easy to carry, and good form factor either way. We've got a little bit of organization in addition to that volume. So we've got a zip pocket up front with Vanquest tough mesh material. I've got some gum in there right now. Good place to store loose stuff that you don't necessarily want all over the place. The back of that is loop filled Velcro compatible material. On the opposite side, we've got a couple rows of stretch loops. So we've got some stretchy loops on the front. Great way to capture anything with a clip on it, right? So for instance, I've got a pen stashed in that one, nice small EDC pen. I've got a little, this is the Rovivon E5, which is cool. It's kind of like the A5 with the polycarbonate body and the side lights, but then you have a spare battery as well as the built-in rechargeable battery. So really like this flashlight. And then behind the elastic loops, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 fairly large size loops. You've got some gusseted drop-in pockets. So you see you've got some excess material in there. These will expand nice and wide if you want to put something in there. I've just got a couple credit cards with Luco tape and duct tape in those pockets. And then on the other side, my AirPods fit nicely in there with a little bit of room to spare. But that's all I have in that pocket. And you can see the very nice 210D material. Now this material for interior material feels fantastic. It feels very durable, feels like it's gonna last quite a bit, but also very lightweight. And this is, you know, typical of ripstop type material. So good material choice for the inside. You get that durability as well as the lightweight benefit of this ripstop. And then in the back, we've got a full width drop-in pocket. Good place to put a field notes notebook or something flatter that's going to fit in there, unless you're not going to put much in front of it. And then that material, if I can open this up a bit, you can see all these pockets are basically gusseted. There's extra material so that if you did want to use primarily that, it's going to expand to fit just about whatever you put in there because it has that excess material on the sides. So nice drop-in area there, all backed with loop fields. So Velcro compatible. You can put any type of hook and loop accessories you want on there. And then you'll see we do have a couple built-in loops for that key leash in this area as well. We've got one here, one there. And if you wanted to, if you were, maybe you had a very heavy loadout and you were concerned about security, when you unzip this all the way, you don't want that pocket to dump open. You can even hook those together like that to kind of prevent that from flopping down, and have a little built-in security system so that you can't dump the contents forward, which is potentially a nice use for that. Otherwise, you do see, again, quite a bit of floor space in there. So nice and slim, but also expands in capacity pretty well to accept a pretty good size loadout. All right, and then lastly, we've got this back pocket, the security pocket up against your body. Again, great place to store mission critical stuff you don't want to lose. I've got my wallet in there. This is a new handmade leather minimalist wallet I picked up a few weeks ago. Very cool. I've been testing this out. Alec over at Leo's Leather Goods made this for me. Fantastic, great purchase. Glad I bought it. I will likely do a review on this very soon. Just really convenient and nicely sized, well-made leather minimalist wallet. So check them out, leosleathergoods.com. And that's it for this back pocket. We've got the 210D material on the back with a little bit of that orange high vis, and then the black inside. There's no lining or anything. This is a single layer material all around. No padding in this sling whatsoever, no frame sheet, nothing to keep it rigid, which is nice because it conforms well to whatever you load in there. Also conforms well to your body when you wear it. You can fold it up, smash it down if you want to tuck it in the bag for travel. Overall, not a bad setup, not a bad form factor. Okay, so let's take a look at the inside of the large Dendrite Sling now. We'll start with this front pocket. Same setup as the other small version. We've got the 210D ripstop nylon inside. Pocket is big enough to fit an iPhone 15 Pro Max. That's about it though. That's a little bit of a snug fit. Otherwise, no organization. Same setup as the small sling. Moving on to the main pocket, we open the double zip on there and same setup as the small sling, just on a larger scale. So this one's good if you want to carry a little bit extra gear. So this one will work out perfect for me as a mobile filming setup. You know, I film and I'm on the go filming. I usually like to have my Insta Pocket 3. It won't fit in there with the extra battery, but I do have the extra battery in there with it. I've got the Insta 360 X3, and then this sling is wide enough to accept the selfie stick that goes with the 360 cam that fits nicely along the bottom of this sling. And then the way the Pocket 3 fit in this tough mesh works out perfect because it keeps it up off the bottom and then off of that selfie stick on the bottom, which is metal, and I wouldn't want these banging together in there. So selfie stick fits in there. We've got the same stretch loop panel across the front. Got a Fisher Space Pen in there. Small flashlight. This is the Rovivant A3. And then I've got the DJI mic to go with my filming setup. In this pocket, I've got an SD card holder. I've also got some micro SD cards in there. But same setup again as the small. We've got these gusseted pockets in there, so we've got these pleats in there. They can expand. Bigger pocket in the back in case you need to carry a bigger notebook or anything flat. You could probably put, I would assume, an iPad mini in there, maybe a small book. So loop field on the back of this one as well, Velcro compatible. Same with under the front tough mesh, we've got loop field, so it's Velcro compatible. So again, pretty much the same setup as a small, just going to be a little bit bigger. We've got a nice footprint on the bottom there, so this expands nicely to accept a pretty good amount of gear. This is going to be more for travel, or you know, maybe this is a second bag and a 1.5 bag travel setup where you've got some additional gear in here that you wouldn't normally carry in an EDC type sling. Same key leash setup. We've got the 2 loops on the inside for the key leash that's included, as well as the loop that was in the front. And then we've got the Vanquest Tough Built gear tag in there as well. And that's it. So moving on to the back, same setup again as the small. We've got this hidden security pocket. I've got a wallet in there, good place for mission critical essentials. iPhone 15 Pro Max fits in there, no problem. The Pro Max incidentally also fits in this compartment. It is about the max size device you would get in there, but it also fits in the small. That's it for the large. Again, pretty much the same setup as the small. So let's talk likes and dislikes now, and I'm going to start with what I like about these slings. So first and foremost, like the other Vanquest gear I've tested, number one for me has to be materials and build quality. So overall, I love the exterior material. I really like the urban blend material on this. The build quality and construction is fantastic, bulletproof. I've showed you some of the bar tacking and stitching that goes into this. YKK zippers, Duraflex hardware, great materials, great build quality. Number two is the ergonomics of this sling. So with these, the way the straps come off, the angle at which they come off, this sling is very comfortable to carry, hugs the body nicely. You barely notice it's there. It maintains a slim profile if it's not loaded out, but it's got plenty of expansion ability to it if you need to put more gear in there. And then lastly, I do like having these loops back there, primarily on the small one, because it makes for a cool sternum pouch. If you want to wear it on a sternum strap, or if you want to wear it on your belt, you have that versatility built in. So moving on to dislikes, there's really not much to dislike with these slings. I guess one thing might be the conspicuousness of the logo on this. I think it would be nice to have a subdued option for that, but not really a game changer or deal breaker. I mean, it's still a great sling, still has a great look to it. I've mentioned this, and this isn't a dislike, just kind of a watch out, because I tend to mention this on all the slings with this type of pocket, but you do have this lip on there, which I think you've got pretty good weather resistance across this bag with the reverse zippers. You've got a non-reverse zipper in there with a flap that can catch water. But I mean, if you're not out in the rain, not a big deal. It kind of comes with the territory. Most sling manufacturers do the same thing. And then lastly, I'll mention this. I mentioned the same thing on the Teco slings. The zippers are a little bit harder to close than they need to be. And that's really a function of how these zipper pulls are put on. So the zipper pulls themselves are pretty cool. I like the Spartan zipper pulls. If you did want to downsize though, if you didn't like the aesthetic of these, they're very easily removable. So these are not permanently installed. But the way they connect, making them nice and removable, is kind of side saddle almost. You know, they loop off to the side. They're looped around the back. So when you're pulling forward, you're kind of pulling the back of the zipper and rotating it, and it makes it a little more difficult to close than it normally would be. Now, they open very smooth because it's going with the direction of opening, which I've mentioned this in the previous review of Vanquest that I did, but that is the more critical direction. I think open is the direction you definitely don't want to struggle with, but you know, closed is a little bit harder. And I think you may have seen throughout the course of this video where, you know, it doesn't necessarily close as smoothly as it opens. Not a deal breaker. It doesn't really impact functionality. Just a little bit of a nitpicky gripe, I would say, with that. I will say, however, I really like the Spartan zipper pulls, especially in cooler weather if you're wearing gloves, because you are going to have absolutely no problem using these. That's it really for dislikes. So let's take a few minutes to talk use case scenarios and who these slings are for. So size-wise, you know, as I mentioned, this is really more of an everyday carry sling, slightly bigger than a pocket dump. You're going to get your pocket stuff in here and a few extras, maybe critical stuff you can carry with you. This one obviously is significantly larger. You get a full extra liter. And this is a great sling for everyday carry plus. You know, if you've got camera gear to carry, for instance, you know, I as a content creator, I tend to carry some camera gear with me. So it's nice to have that camera gear in here. Just something to keep in mind. There is absolutely no padding in this sling whatsoever, which I personally prefer. I like that floppiness and the moldability of it, but you know, maybe carrying a DSLR around here is not going to be ideal, or lenses without some type of protection, because there is no padding. But you know, for what I'm carrying around, I've got, you know, my 360 cam and a neoprene sleeve that's nicely protected. The Pocket 3 comes with its own protective cover, so that's perfect loadout and scenario for this. Or you know, maybe a little bit extra tech carry. Maybe you don't have a laptop, but you've got a small tablet you want to bring with you. Everyday carry wise, that's going to work out perfect. They're suitable also for travel. Typically, I like to have a removable strap for a travel sling, but it depends what type of travel sling I'm talking about. Because if it's a travel sling I'm actually going to wear while traveling, then this works out perfect, because you don't have to remove the sling. So as long as what you're looking for is a dedicated sling that you're going to use as a sling and nothing else, then this works out fine. The other type of travel sling, for me anyway, is, you know, something you're going to put in your bag, maybe as a tech organizer. But then when you get to your destination, you might want to pull it out, put a strap on it, and carry it as a sling. You're not going to do that with these. However, they will work just fine as travel slings. And I think they're a great fit for, you know, a 1.5 bag setup. Maybe you've got a backpack, you're one bag in it. It's nice to be able to offload a little bit of that into a sling. Typically, anytime I'm doing one bag travel, I have a sling, at small one at minimum, but a lot of times something even a little bit larger, so I can get a little bit extra gear, and I'm still kind of very lightweight, very mobile. I've got one bag on my back and then a sling for my essentials, or even light outdoor use. You know, if you're going backpacking, that type of stuff where you don't expect to be too rough. If you're, you know, looking to go hunting, or you know, you're going to be a little bit more rough on your gear, then this might not be the best option for outdoor usage. I think these really are more geared towards urban carry and travel. That's all I have for the Vanquest Dendrite Slings. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you have one? Do you want one? Have you heard of Vanquest? Interested? Definitely let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button for me, and definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks.